Hi everybody, today I am going to be doing my long-awaited kind of recap and review video of One Little Word by Ali Edwards. Not just the idea of picking a word of the year, going over her course, the products that go with it, etc. So One Little Word is a year-long project that Ali Edwards runs. She does an online class that has monthly lessons as well as a main kit that has a bunch of stuff in it, and then there's quarterly kits that you can subscribe to. 2022 was my first year doing it. In a lot of years, my word of the year has always been kind of like okay, here's a word, fuck it, and I'm not going to pay attention to it anymore the rest of the year. This past year, I was feeling very burnt out from work, and I needed to acclimate myself, bring myself back into my hobbies and things outside of work, and really just settle into my personal life, my family life, my relationships, fill my cup, as it were. And so the word of the year was replenish. And I knew that this year I really wanted to keep it in front of me. I really wanted to remind myself of it. This wasn't some throwaway la-di-da situation. I really wanted it to mean something. So I thought one little word would be a good idea. I'm going to tell you, immediately I was turned off by it. The language around one little word in the class is very kind of touchy-feely, like woo-woo a little bit, going on journeys with your word, experiencing things with your word, conversations with your, and I'm like, what the hell? I'm cynic, and my cynicism was out in strength, but I decided to give it the college try and see how I felt about it. Well, I finished it. This is not something I do very often. I've started year-long projects and never finish them. The class itself is $50. And you're in it for the whole year. It's an online class, and you go in every first of the month. They send you an email that tells you that it's the new class lesson is open. You go into the Ali Edwards website, you log in, you go into your class, and the new lesson is there. The lesson usually consists of a PDF with the prompt for the month to walk you through whatever it is they want you to do for that month with your word. Then there's usually a video or two of whoever is leading that month's prompt, because it's not just Ali Edwards. She has a team around her now, and how they approached it to give you kind of a starting off point. Then after you do that, now there's also each month there's some digital downloads that go along with it. We'll talk more about supplies later, but there are digital downloads and a PDF each month. This year there was also a Zoom call where anybody who's in the class can join the Zoom call and talk about that month and how things are going. I never joined those. I wasn't really interested in it, and even when I was, I never remembered. But apparently the people who did join them really enjoyed them. I have no opinion because I didn't bother. Then mid-month you get another notification, and this mid-month you get sent. There's a second lesson that opens up in your lesson area on the website that shows what other people on her team did that month for their project. So you can see how different people approach it. I also didn't really dig into that too much, unless Ali Edwards herself had posted something in there, and then I might look. But generally speaking, all I really partook in each month was the first day's lesson with the PDF. And I used that. I watched the videos a couple of times, but most of the time it was just the PDF. It's something that I got really aware of, was that if I watched too many of the videos of what other people were doing, and I watched what other people were doing, I would feel bad about myself, or I just would do what they were doing instead of doing something that was better for me. So that when it came down to it, all I really did each month was that monthly prompt. So in my mind, for $50, what I got was the monthly prompts, because I didn't really do the rest of it. Was it worth it for me? Yes. Because every month I knew it was coming. I could put it on my monthly goals. I was preparing for it. Like if I got a good opportunity to take a picture each month or whatever, I would do that. And I would do it when I was able to. What I usually would do was read the prompt on day one and then have that in my mind so that I had an idea. Like if I knew something was upcoming that would work really well with it, then I could use that. And if I didn't, then I could make plans for it. And so having the prompt to kind of give me guidance for what I wanted to do in that month for this project, and knowing that the next prompt will be coming on the next first of the month, that gave me a deadline. So that I found very worth it, and worth it enough that I'm doing it again next year. The word I picked in my 2023 goal setting, which was the video that went up yesterday, so go ahead and check that out if you want to, is continue. And that word also felt definitely like another one that I wanted to support with reminders and a project throughout the year. The $50 for the class was worth it enough for me to know that whether I did it in 2023 was entirely dependent on which word I decided to go with, and whether it felt like a throwaway word or whether it felt like one that I really wanted to keep at the center of my life. And that would determine whether or not I was going to do the project again. Because the word is one I definitely want to keep at the center of my life, I am doing the project again. So that's kind of my thought on the class itself. It comes with more than what I utilized, but I felt like I got my money's worth for what I actually did use, and I don't feel bad about the stuff I didn't do. I was fine with it. I made it work for me. The next most common question is, what about the supplies? So I bought the main kit and I got the subscription this year, and I'm keeping the subscription for next year, even though I'm doing a no-buy. And I didn't add it into my exceptions because I have no other subscriptions for anything else except for, like, even with Chewy, I use the subscription to get the discount, but I actually just go and order it whenever I need it. The reason I'm keeping the subscription is because I don't do a lot of this kind of craftiness, and I was never somebody who did a lot of this kind of craftiness, this kind of like scrapbooking, pocket scrapbooking, fucking memory keeping, Project Life, that sort of thing. I never did this. So even though I have 1,000,001 art supplies, I didn't have the things that really make a project like this sing, especially if you do it kind of in that way. And so getting the subscription and the main kit for me was helpful because I didn't have an overabundance of stuff. And I just reorganized everything I have left. And I don't have an abundance of stuff left. I used a lot of it this year, so it felt worth it to me. But if you have a lot of shit already, you don't need to buy any of it. You definitely don't need the subscription, and you may not need the main kit. So the main kit came with the binder, which I got, some page protectors. I did need to, these letters were the worst choice. And every time I open it, I have to replenish where my letters belong because they just aren't stuck. I had to find some way to like permanently glue them down. The point is, the kit came with a 6x8 binder, a bunch of different styles of 6x8 page protectors with different kinds of pockets, the dividers for the whole year, and then a bunch of just basic supplies. It came with all of the prompt cards and like cardstocks that they had ready at the beginning of the year. This year it came with these little like frames. Everything in the original kit was black and white. Color stuff that I have that's Ali Edwards related came with the monthly kits. I did wind up having to order more page protectors, specifically because I ran out of these large ones that hold like a full sheet of something, and I think there was one other one I ran out of. So I did order some more of those over the course of the year. But I did utilize a good chunk, probably 80% of what came in the main kit, maybe even 90% of what came in the main kit. And when it came to the quarterly kits, I probably utilized maybe 60 or 70% of what came in those. The big thing I didn't use this year was stamps because I'm not a fan of stamping. I am setting a challenge for myself each month this next year to use stamps in this. Not in a hot mess plan with me way, but in a legitimate, I'm trying to use them kind of way. I do like how they look. I wouldn't say I like using them. Anyway, so for me, the main kit and the quarterly kits were worth it because I didn't have this kind of stuff, and I still don't have a lot of this kind of stuff. What I did buy that wasn't worth it was not from Ali Edwards. It was actually stuff I got from Joann's. I got a bunch of wooden, and I think in my vlog that went up earlier this month, I went through some of those supplies to organize them. Bought a bunch of like wooden things. I got rid of probably about 2/3 of them, of what was left. I did use a few. You'll see them when we flip through the book. But I also bought a lot of letter stickers and like number stickers that also I didn't use very much of. If I could do it over again, what I probably would have done was just gone with the stuff I got from Ali Edwards, and I bought some Slick Writer pens to write directly on, like a little tiny baby stapler and some Slick Writer pens to write directly on the photos. And that would have been all I used. If you have any sort of this kind of scrapbooking stuff, or you don't want to do it in this format, but do it in a different format, you could easily get away with just getting the class and not getting anything else. They gave the main kit as a digital download this past year. I don't know if that was because they did have some supply issues at the start of the year. Like the main kit stuff didn't show up for me until February. But I think they give you the main kit as a download. And if they do, then you can just print things out yourself or do it digitally. You don't have to buy any supplies. You can just get the class. Technically, you don't even need the class. But if you're going to get the class, you don't have to buy all the shit that goes with it. I got it, and I'm going to get it this next year because I don't have a large backstock of this. If I find that the stuff that's coming in the quarterly is not getting used, I'm going to cancel it. So that's my review of the class. When it came to the actual stuff that happened in the class, the actual prompts throughout the year, I'm actually going to talk about that as we flip through the album. But my overall review of the class is that if you are going to set aside the time and make time to do it each month, it can be a really fun and different way to make your word of the year into something more useful than some random toss away bullshit. However, you have to make some time for it. For me, doing it once a month was probably as much as I was going to be willing to do. If I could scheduleize it, it would look like at the beginning of the month, I would read the prompt, I would see what was coming up on my calendar and see if anything automatically aligned with it. If I was going to the Botanic Gardens or something, right? And then when that was done, when I figured that out, I would kind of decide, okay, this is the week I'm going to do it because this is the week that something is happening that makes sense, or this is the week I'm going to do it because it just makes sense for me that week. And then I would keep that in my mind. I would get the pictures, whatever pictures I was going to use, get them printed because my printer can print photos, but I don't like how it prints photos. And CVS does 6x8 photos. So I just do it there. And then I just try and get it all done in one session. I didn't try to extend it or do it over the course of a longer period of time. I just wanted to do it one time, sit down and do it with a couple of times earlier in the month to sort of think about what I was going to do. So all I had to do was sit down and actually get it done. If you don't have a way of just making sure you do it each month, you might feel like it's a waste of money. And I'm going to also add, if the woo-woo-ness or you'll see as we go through these prompts, there are some places where you're like, what the actual fuck? If you're like me and you're cynical. If you're not cynical, then you probably will be fine with it. But just know that you will have to go into this with an open mind and then make of it what you will, which is what I did. I don't know how open my mind was, but I did go into it with an open mind enough to do it again. And I was able to get something out of it, even though sometimes I was just like, okay. So now that we kind of talked about, you get my kind of idea of whether or not I thought this class was worth it. Let's go through my one little word album from 2022. Like I said, this is the album that came with the kit. It's a 6x8 album. And there go my letters again. This is the front, and aside from the worst decision ever with these stickers, I decided to put the word replenish, which is my word. This is one of those frames. It says remember, and I use the one day at a time little chipboard with the numbers here. And just as kind of a title page, right? These little round things, I don't remember if one came with every single quarterly kit or if it was just a couple. I love these. Maybe this is why I wanted to order the quarterly kit. If something like this comes, I love having them as just something to add in. And this one I'm pretty sure came with the main kit. But it says starting right here, just as I am, which I thought was perfect for the beginning of the year. So I hole punched it and put it in. And we're starting with January. And this is one of all of the dividers are the ones that came with the main kit. So I put this my story here, and then this matters, but it's upside down because I put my first one of these down when there was still a film that I didn't realize had to be removed. So the first prompt of the year was all about defining what your word is and why you want to use it. The first thing I decided, besides putting my word in here, was that I wanted because I hate taking pictures of myself. I hate being in pictures. It's always been something I've struggled with. And when I, in the past, have tried to make memory keeping a practice, I wanted to have part of it be so that there's more pictures of me because I regret that my mom hated being photographed so much and now she's dead and I don't have very many pictures of her. So this year I thought, well, the memory keeping in the past didn't work. Maybe I can still have that happen. So I wanted to have some kind of a selfie or photo I took of myself in every single month. And I would use these frames that have the month on them. This one says January to document that. So here's a picture of me in the snow, probably walking Layla as I do. And then it had you write your word, define your word, the reason why you picked your word, various other prompts, intentions for the year. There's a lot of thought and stuff that went into this first year. I really wanted to break down, I know Ali Edwards used these different areas, physical, emotional, spiritual, relationships, and creative for intentions for the year. And I just copied that because I thought that was a really good idea. A lot of what I did in January was, I was very nervous about what the hell I was going to do in this project. And so I did very much ape what Ali Edwards did. And I put this I can do this to remind myself that I indeed can do this. And now looking at this, I'm like, I did do this. So go me. And the journey begins. Anyway, so intentions and then some ideas about the year ahead. Moving to February, it was a vision board prompt. And I don't really care for vision boards. They're not my favorite thing. So I liked the idea of printing some big pictures of just the way I wanted to feel this year and putting them in here. So what I did was I printed all these pictures out just 6x8. I use Canva to resize them. And then, and if I'm doing like multiple pictures, I'll just do a 6x8 and use Canva to put them all in one collage and then cut them. And that's what I wound up doing. So this first one is discovering, because I wanted to have more fun and adventure in my life. And we didn't do a ton of adventuring, but we did have more fun. And so I had this picture of Colorado here that I thought would be really pretty with one of these wooden things. Let new adventures begin. And here is my selfie for February. And then in the back, bring on the work, bring on the rest, bring in the in-between times. The little tab here says surrendering, and this is my backyard. This tab says playing, and I just put a picture I found on Canva of paintbrushes and said art for the sake of art is just as valuable as art that makes money. This I know. And that was for playing, the idea of playing with art as opposed to just doing it for work. And then finally, embracing, love this word because, and here is a just great picture of my kids, because that was my reason why. March was supposed to be a conversation with yourself and then a conversation with your word. And this was the first time where I was like, oh, Jesus, what is this going to be like? You could print these out. I printed them on cardstock, and it was these like conversation questions with yourself and then with your word, like if you were asking your word questions. So this one was fairly easy to fill out, the questions I was asking myself. When it came to the questions with my words, asking my word questions, I did it, but I also felt a little dweeby when I did it. I'm not going to lie. What I did like was I decided for pictures for this month, I would just add in some pictures from what I did that month that felt replenishing to me, that felt like they were in line with what I was trying to do with my word. So here is my selfie, probably another walk with Layla. This was a Korean barbecue dinner we had with Sunny and Sunny's friend who was in town visiting colleges. Some pictures from a walk with Layla outside. There's my kitty, there's my puppy, and then another picture from being outside. And I put this little pocket just for the fun. I did the black and white and then added a little color on top. And then on the back here is the final bits from that where you create a poem pulling information from these conversations. And so I did that, and I put the try sticker, or the try like wooden thing, because I was like, look, dude, I know you're kind of cynical about this, but just do it anyway. And so I did. And I said, I can do this, the heart of my word. And then I was like, you know what? Okay, so maybe I feel a little weak for doing it this way, but cool, I did it. That's all. And I would not say that I came out of this month feeling very profound, but I did come out of it feeling like I could do the prompts, even if I felt a little weird about them, and still find ways to leave some memories in the book. Then April came up, and you were supposed to go on a date with your word. And that was when I was like, are you fucking joking me? But I realized it was a way, for me, a date with my word looked like going out, doing something I really wanted to do just for me. And what I wound up doing, first I put this thing in, this round thing, I am open to my next chapter, which I really needed to remind myself of after March. But what I did, I'll even read this. It says, I had planned to take my word adventure on Friday, but I got into a car accident on Thursday and had to rest. But I still made it to the Botanic Gardens on Saturday and even became a member. So I did do the thing I wanted to do. So I have a selfie of myself from the Botanic Gardens. I have various pictures from the Botanic Gardens here, just sort of decorated with stuff. And it was just awesome. And I'm so glad that this project kind of kicked me in the ass enough to go do that. So even if I felt like the prompt was a little like, what? The prompt led me to doing something that felt very replenishing. I stuck this small progress as still progress on May, and then we went into it. This month was the habit month. I had this deck that I had ordered when I ordered everything else from Ali Edwards. It's like a mindfulness deck where you're supposed to pull something out of the deck and do whatever the activity was. So I decided I was going to do that every single day for a month, and I actually did it every single day for the month. Took this little chipboard that says I get to choose my own response, and that's awesome. And I used that to point out here. I pulled this card that said take a hot bath. The only bathtub in my house is in my kids' bathroom, and I have teenagers. Ain't no way I'm putting my naked body in their bathtub. So I took a hot shower instead because I don't fit in the tub. So I put this in here to remind myself, both in this context of doing whatever the thing was that I said I was going to do for the month, I do it in my own way, but also to remind myself, especially when it comes to these previous prompts, that if something in this course, this year-long project is not my thing, I can still do it, but I can do it in my own way and make it my own rather than trying to fit into the box of however the super woo-woo crafty people that are leading this, and that's not an insult, that's just a descriptor, the way that they're doing it. If it's not for me that way, I can do it a different way. And there's nothing wrong with that because I'm doing this for me. That sounds simple, but that was an epiphany I needed in order to continue doing this throughout the rest of the year. I did write down some of the prompts that I did, like when I wanted to write down some thoughts about them. Then I took some more pictures. These were from some of the different prompts in the deck. Here's my selfie from May. This was put your bare feet in the grass. This was take a picture of something you'd never noticed before in your neighborhood. This was doing a gratitude, like writing down some gratitude. This was, I don't remember what they all were, but here's planting my lavender plants. These were just different things that I did during the month that fit into what I did with the cards. Then we came to June, and June was like a check-in for the month. These card stocks here came with the main kit, but I think you could print them from the downloads if you didn't have them. And this was just to write out kind of like a check-in as to where you are. And I put that my one little word experience so far has been surprising. What has surprised you? I'm going to read through some of these for you. What has surprised you so much so far this year? How much I enjoyed my adventure with my word at the Botanic Gardens? What are you most proud of? Staying consistent with the class and actually replenishing myself and seeing the results. So those are important to me. So I was checking in with this and the things that were going on, and then I still added in my selfie for June and put the currently, and notice that there's Sunny, RJ, and a couple of scrawny Odin pictures because this was right. We adopted Odin at the end of May. And so got some pictures of him here in June, which was amazing. And then a big piece of that progress was planting my green stalk on June. So I planted it in May, but this was June 1st, 2022, was taking this fabulous picture of my green stalk, which just makes me excited for the spring. Moving into July. July was celebrating small wins. And so that was these things, these small wins I had. And then picking some of these other ones, like picking ripe fruits and veggies and spending time that I love with my pets and having plants. Those were definitely all small wins for me. August prompt was all about beginning again. And I really wasn't feeling like that really suited anything I was doing that month. So instead what I decided to do was just document some of the fun things that happened in August. Because August was a hard month. August had the fun of being I was in Bend with my kids and we went and did some fun things with Layla. But that was the month my brother-in-law was in the hospital. That was the month my grandmother died. It was a really rough month. So celebrating the good days, the things that were fun, was really important. So here, this is the cake that Sunny and I made for my sister's birthday. It was the first time we celebrated a birthday with her together in over a decade. Picture, my selfie was me and the kids at the fair. I got to have French fries at the fair and go see I love looking at the crafts at county fairs, not even gonna lie. I got pictures of Odin, RJ and my nibbling, Sunny and Bend writing down about keeping going, embracing Odin, turning 5 months old, and then going, this is the first time Layla ever went in a lake type. It was at the reservoir. She was scared of the waves, but then finally went in. So I thought, rather than worry about beginning again, I'm just going to celebrate the good things this month because it has been a really hard one. Now, September gave us a list of prompts like little things. It's a visual diary. I looked at the prompts and I kind of made a list of some ideas at the beginning of the month of different things I was expecting to do in September that I could take pictures of to document this visual diary. And so various things, right? So here again is my selfie. This brings me hope. This is my daily rituals, walking Layla. Some days I get my nails done. I love Jessie and Layla on the couch. Most days Odin's peeking out. I remember this is when we saw Crawdad in the creek at the park. That's what I'm learning. Us going to see Hades Town. This is hard right meow, which is Odin like causing me to trip falling down the stairs, and having sushi with the fam for bringing me joy. This makes me happy was when we went to get sushi after RJ recovered from wisdom teeth surgery. And I love this picture because Jess was so excited by the presentation. And then all 3 pets finally chilling out in Jessie's office. So that was a really fun one. This prompt was one that I really enjoyed. So October was an interview. You were either supposed to interview someone about yourself, like someone in your life, or have the interview with yourself. And so I did the interview with myself because I really could not bring myself to ask someone to do this with me. Cynicism has never left. So here is my selfie. I got this. I kept this. Again, I just took some pictures I really wanted to hang on to for the month. And this one of Lou and Layla by the window. It was one of the first times I had observed them being near each other, not fucking with each other. Layla and Jessie at flannel day at the office, and then this adorable picture of the O. But I did interview myself. I printed this out from the digital kit and just filled out the interview here. And then November, you were supposed to take a picture of yourself against like a wall and then use that to write a bunch of I am statements. And the picture I took was on a day I was feeling awful. So I pulled this picture because I forgot to get a selfie besides this one. And so I pulled this as a screenshot from one of my videos. I got some pictures from, this is Jessie in the treehouse at the Airbnb we went to in November for my family Thanksgiving and my grandma's memorial service. Odin, RJ with Odin. I just love the pictures of my kitties. And then here is my I am little picture that I did. This was a lot of fun. I wasn't sure I was going to have fun doing it. And then the more I put stuff on it, the more fun I had with it. And then on the back, I put a note to myself about replenishing. And again, one of the few times I use these wooden things. Then finally, December, I put this lessons learning thing, and this was about looking back on the year to go back and review what you said in January and then reflect on it. And so I did put this picture of us at the zoo lights. I knew what I wanted to end the year with was a full page picture of us at the zoo lights. And so that's what I put here. There's nothing better than this. On the back here are some more pictures. The 2 kitties hanging out for the first time fucking ever. This picture of Jess and Layla on a great walk we went on. And the selfie came from the same day. And then here's my facts and feelings reflection sheet and my remember sheet. And I put this is only part of the story because that was about the time I was like, okay. At that point, before then I wasn't sure. That was when I was like, okay, if I have a word that I feel is in the right zone for doing this project, then I'm doing it again. I didn't really know that until I got to the end of December and filled out my reflections and realized that as much as this year has gone all sorts of haywire for me, that I now know that it was worth it to do this project. And I want to do it again if it feels like it's going to be worth it again. And so that's what I'm going to do. So that is my recap of One Little Word. I don't think it's for everybody. I don't think that it is for people who can't look past any cynicism that they have. It was hard for me. I don't think it is for people who are susceptible to buying way too much stuff because this could easily become a stuff vortex. And so if you are not somebody who can at least admit whether or not you have too much, this might be hard for you. This might be something that could trigger you to buy more shit. And I don't necessarily think that this is for somebody who's not willing to put the time aside for it every single month to actually do it, but keep it in perspective. You can go as deep into this as you want to. I probably, if you don't count the time I actually did something like going to the Botanic Gardens or whatever, the time I actually spent in the project, making the stuff in the project was probably less than an hour a month. Maybe half an hour, 45 minutes, depending if it was a writing heavy prompt, maybe a little longer. If it was mostly pictures and decorating the pictures, probably shorter. But really, this was not a big time suck. It was just making sure that I was organized enough to know when I was going to do it and what I was thinking about doing. So maybe an hour actually making it, give me another hour ahead of time to think about it over the course of the few days that I was thinking about it. Anyway, those are my thoughts. Let me know in the comments below if this is something you've done before, if you're going to do it in 2023, if you did it and didn't like it, any of your thoughts on this. If you're like me in the past and been like, fuck my word of the year, what's the point? Also, because we're about to enter into January, while I will be starting dialysis in January, the other thing I will be doing is my usual word of the year lettering streams over on my Patreon. I don't advertise my Patreon very often because it makes me feel fucking skanky to do it, but what I do in January is I hand letter everybody's word of the year over the course of a bunch of live streams in January, which I said already, and then I make them available as transparent PNGs for your personal use. So if that's something you're interested in, check out my Patreon, link down below. Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already, and until next time, friends, peace.